The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up all the way going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking.
Manipulate the votes, okay?
Right. In fact, they didn't even influence votes. They've had intentions of meddling in the election.
Oh
Again,
but they didn't why are we talking about this? This is not the issue. You're trying to avoid the subject.
President Obama said that Russia did not manipulate any votes. We should note that because every liberal in America said that was the case.
All right, noted.
You're doing everything possible not to talk about the fact that the President of the United States, the current President of the United States, just accused a former president of treason and suggested a prosecution of that former president with no evidence. That is the problem.
You can calm down. I don't think
I'm not going to calm down.
I don't think he'll be prosecuted.
Why don't you talk about that instead of talking about Obama?
Because Obama just undid 3 years of Democrat mythology.
What?
Please, let's not talk about this. I don't want to talk about your distractions. The problem is, this is what Trump does. He distracts everybody. He's talking about President Obama because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He's talking about the Washington Commanders and the Cleveland Guardians because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He releases the Martin Luther King files because he doesn't want to talk about Epstein. He's doing everything possible except talking about Jeffrey Epstein because he's trying to throw up distractions so that people like you, Todd, can come on TV and try to diffuse
I have tried
the
to
issue.
agree with you, and you're violently not letting me.
I'm not doing anything violently.
I've said he shouldn't.
Not just the president, but a lot of Americans are livid about this as well.
Yes.
And I think it's worth remembering that none of this would be possible without a complicit media that willingly participate in these info ops perpetrated by bad actors in the intelligence community. Some of the same people who uncritically regurgitated the Russia collusion hoax also uncritically regurgitated the lie that Hunter Biden's evidence of family business corruption was a Russian plant, and they do it with other situations as well. They have destroyed Americans' trust, whatever trust they should have had, in the intelligence community because of how they politicized things and because of how the media have gone along with this. And instead of getting awards, they should be ignored. Or, in fact, I think maybe some of their role in the Russia collusion hoax might need to be investigated as well.
I finally feel ready to talk about this. I think enough people, enough information, enough days went by to see if this is real, and it seemed like it is real. Obama administration assessed that Russia played no role in the 2016 election, declassified doc shows. The scale of collateral damage from this op is something history can never forgive. And Obama's been taking L's left to right, from saying that men need gay friends. I mean, Obama's been saying a lot of weird stuff lately. I don't know what it is. People won. And this is the funny part. This is the collusion and the political interest that I talk about on this channel. If you're new here, I talk about how journalism is the most liberal profession in the United States of America. Only 3.4% of journalists are Republican conservative. And some of the problems that I have with this obvious political domination with an institution we trust to inform and educate the public is that 97% of them have a likely chance to align themselves with the Democratic Party. And they even won Pulitzer prizes for this breaking news. And all along, it was a hoax all along. And Trump made the bold claim that this was treason. And I think in some levels, you can understand his frustration. Respectfully, Megan, with the hard evidence released by Gabbard that the media participated with Comey and Brenna to create and disseminate the Russian collusion narrative to ravage a president-elect, will you return your Pulitzer Prize? And if not, why not? And this is some of the fakery that many people can't stand about the Democratic Party. And on the intro, you saw one of Clinton's former aides, which was the bald black guy you saw there. I forgot his name. forgive me if I forget his name, talking about, oh, no one ever made no ethos about the narrative that Russia collusion. Here's during 2016, Hillary Clinton referencing that very report to try to, in a way, to damage Trump politically.
It's come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election.
Was the consensus of all the intelligence agencies and law enforcement.
Our nation's 17 federal intelligence agencies.
So I don't want to play too long because I don't know if I'm going to get copyrighted for that. But you get the gist. Liberals made a campaign off of this idea that somehow Trump and Russia are colluding with each other and they're trying to influence our election. And then years later, it comes out to be a lie. The corporate media can't cover the abuse and politicization of the intelligence agency in 2016 to fabricate the Russiagate conspiracy theory because they were amongst the lead culprits. Some even showered themselves with posers for it and boast about it to this day. This is some crazy stuff, but the media still has the goal to try to, baseless claims. These are baseless claims, says CNN, liberal institution. Of course you don't want to admit to it. But the internet have receipts. Let's take a look.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes. Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President Trump says he still wonders if the Russians hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
If he admits it, it casts a shadow on his victory over Hillary Clinton.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
So what are you going to do, Trump administration? What are you actually going to do about this? Maybe something will happen, and I hope it does. But the pattern has always been that Republicans allege high crimes and misdemeanors only to punish precisely no one for them and to hold no one accountable in any way whatsoever. And this has to change. It has to change. Right now. Democrats just spent years trying to imprison the President of the United States for fake crimes. They pursued fake charges shamelessly and relentlessly for years. For once, Republicans should apply that kind of intensity towards pursuing Democrats, including Barack Obama, who have all clearly committed actual crimes. Enough with the tough talk. Go kick down some doors. It's time. Way past time.
So now we have come full circle. Do you believe that Obama should be arrested or prosecuted for treason? Colluding with his administration to try to cast doubt on a rival president-elect's campaign? Like you saw, look at the segment. I'm with Matt Walsh with his sentiment that the time for talk is over. I think that Democrats won't learn until they know, hey, whatever we do to the Republicans, they're going to hit us right back with it. And I think this is kind of the political pragmatism that I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, you can tell a bully day and night, hey, leave me alone, leave me alone. But until that bully feels some pain, even if you lose the fight, if that bully feels some pain, he'll think twice before messing with you. This is something men understand intrinsically. Like sometimes force is necessary. Sometimes it's not good to turn the other cheek. Because this is how human nature is. Like if we don't face no ramifications for our bad actions, it emboldens us to do it continuously. And I think this is what Republicans and conservatives are tired of seeing from the Republican Party. We're tired of the time of talk. We're tired of you guys going, oh, strongly worded letters. People are tired of that now. And as an independent, yeah, I'm right-leaning. Yes, I'm a conservative. But I'm tired of seeing one side fighting with one hand behind their back. I think it's time that they have to meet force with force. They already set the precedent. Remember, Joe Biden administration, they did something unprecedented. Like, make this make sense. Obama, because remember in the clips, they were saying it as a note of fact. But then when evidence come out that disproved their baseless claims, they will say that is a baseless claim. Make it make sense. You saw the intro? You saw the intro video? Let me see if I can find it. You saw the intro video. These people, right, on their little on their little card here, they said, "Oh, Obama, Trump's bizarre treason accusations, outrageous."
Execution.
Right? This is the narrative framing that I'm talking about. Look at it. Trump basically accused Obama of treason to distract. Distract from what? He's bringing attention to something. Why you have to frame it as a distraction? We all know you're not serious about the Epstein stuff. You had 4 years in power before Trump came in and you didn't release it. You had 4 years before Trump even became president to release it. All the hate, like, you expect me to believe, as a critically thinking adult, you expect me to believe that the media that covered Donald Trump 89% of the time negatively, a Democratic Party that has developed a whole symptom because of this guy, you think that I'm supposed to logically believe that if they had some legitimate stuff on Donald Trump that they wouldn't release it? Look at all the leaks that happened. They leaked his tax reports. Like, they leaked his taxes. Like, make it make sense. But they couldn't leak an Epstein report that would hurt and damage Trump's reputation. But they're willing to go through fake stories of Russia colluding with Donald Trump to win the 2016 election. They can release those fake stuff. But you think they had tangible evidence about the Epstein stuff? Get out of my face. No one cares about the Epstein stuff at this point in time. The Epstein stuff was a nice to have, but this is some serious ish. And it further justifies people's lack of trust in the mainstream media, especially when CNN coming in here running cover for all the lies they spent telling us. I showed you every news channel on the left, right? Leftist media saying, fact, Trump colluded with Russia. Russia influenced the election, this, da. Oh, 17 intelligence agents. Obama, Hillary, they use this very thing to try to use as a weapon against Trump for a political narrative. Ridiculous. And then they have the goal to sit here and tell you, oh, you should trust us. Oh, misinformation, disinformation. Ridiculous. This stuff, I'm tired of this stuff, bro. President Trump said on Tuesday, that Democrats such as former President Barack Obama and Joe Biden, along with former Secretary of State and Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, should face severe consequences for their alleged involvement in the Russia collusion conspiracy. Trump commented on the bombshell documents released last week by the director. Imagine, baseless claims, baseless, but there's documents out here released by the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, telling reporters in the Oval Office that Gabbard caught President Obama absolutely cold on Sunday. The Department of Justice reportedly received a criminal referral from Gabbard over the alleged allegations against Obama administration officials. They tried to rig it. Documents declassified by Gabbard last week showed that Obama administration suppressed intelligence proving that Russia did not influence the outcome of the present 2016 election. Like, imagine that. They already had the evidence to disprove this narrative that they themselves were spewing, that the mainstream media was sitting here saying, fact, Russia did influence the election. And then in the intro, these charlatans here will sit here and tell you, no one said that. No one tried to make this ethos about it. And then I show you clips here. Here's what they were saying 8 years ago. Obama knew they had evidence that this wasn't true. For the entirety of Trump's first term in office, Democrats and the legacy media pointed to the intelligence compiled by the Obama administration to connect Trump's election victory to the Russian government. The president accused The president accused Obama of being the ringleader of those who put forward the false narrative that Russia colluded with Trump's campaign to rig the 2016 election in Trump's favor. Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe. So were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. They tried to rig an election and then they got caught. We'll see about that. We'll see. I think that's one reason why I waited so long to speak about this stuff, because a lot of things are up in the air. Would he do it? Can he do it? Right? How would it be perceived by the public if he did this? Right? Because this is some serious stuff. Like, end of the day, we should treat it at the same seriousness as when they raided Donald Trump. But at the same time, you guys started it first. Right? And this is one thing I want to point out here, and I think I'll end off this video on here. However, it would not be the Russian hoax without naming another prominent Democrat. You know, the crooked one. President Trump shifted to Hillary Clinton and the Steele dossier, accusing her of bankrolling a report so phony even the media wouldn't touch it before. And this is some of the stuff I want to kind of get into, because I don't care about all this talk if Trump doesn't do anything about it, but it seems like they are. I think today Tulsi Gabbard is going to release more documents? Because this is the media. The media, the liberal media is trying to make this claim that Trump is making a baseless accusation. Okay, if he released evidence that can point directly at Obama's involvement, will it no longer be a baseless claim? And this is something that the media always get caught in their hand in the cookie jar. They always make these things. They always make these framings. Oh, Trump is saying that the COVID is coming from Wuhan without any evidence, a baseless accusation that the COVID virus came from China. And then 3 years later, he's been proven right. We've seen this pattern consistently time and time again. And I don't understand what gives the media, the leftist media specifically, so much gusto to make these assertions about his claims being baseless, when his intelligence agent just finished releasing a bunch of documents pointing to the fact that Obama administration officials were the ones that set this narrative awry, and Obama had a position, and he held back information from the public so they can keep pushing a narrative that they wanted out in the public. How does this not involve Obama? You can't disprove any of that. They want evidence that refute anything that Donald Trump is saying, but they want to cast doubt on his assertions. And this is the problem we have with the media. This is why liberal bias is ruining the legacy media. This is why Stephen Colbert is losing his show. Why Jon Stewart is out here having a meltdown, because they're realizing the gig is up. No one cares what they have to say anymore. They're not as influential as they pretend to be. And I think this is what's really striking at the heart of the credibility of the leftist liberal media. Only Democrats and leftists trust the mainstream media. No one else does. Independents, conservatives, libertarians, no matter if you're another political affiliation, you do not trust the legacy media because it's a captured institution. But I digress. Let's hear more what Donald Trump has to say about his former rival, Hillary Clinton.
But he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction. And they used that. Now, the one thing they weren't able to do was to, and probably the only thing I respect about the press in years is the press refused to write it before the election. They refused to put it in. The Steele report was a disaster. All lies, all fabrication, all admitted. An admitted fraud. She paid $12 million, and the Democrats, for that report to a wise guy named Christopher Steele. He wrote a phony report.
Why doesn't the media cover this? Why the media doesn't highlight this? He'll paint Democrats in a bad light. Obama's already been painted in a bad light now. And people, they put in memes of Obama behind jail. Like, karma's an ish, isn't it? They want, this is one thing that people can't stand, especially me. I can't stand the lack of inconsistency from the Democratic Party and those and their supporters. They put out memes about how Trump's going to go to jail and all this stuff. But then when it's one of their darlings, like Obama, all of a sudden it's baseless, treason, it's outrageous. Like, we don't care. We don't care anymore. If you wasn't willing to take what you dish out, you shouldn't have started in the first place. Because as a person, as an independent, I see this as Democrats started this first. You started this first. The minute you raided Mar-a-Lago, former presidents became fair game. You started this, as usual. But you want to get mad when the conservatives and Republicans, they want to finish it. Now y'all crying. Now y'all, oh my God, this is baseless claims. Baseless claims. Baseless claims was saying that Russia colluded with Donald Trump, and you call it a fact. That was baseless. Taking the word of 17 intelligence agents with no evidence, you just use their position of authority as evidence of itself, which is the fallacy of authority, by the way. And y'all just ran with it. And then 8 years later, almost, we found out y'all based everything on a lie. But y'all don't want to talk about that again. Y'all don't want to talk about how you incompetent media personalities on these liberal shows don't seem to have the ability to question narratives coming from your own side. And that's the number one thing that's hurting CNN, MSNBC, a lot of these liberal pundits, is that they never question their own side. People are questioning Donald Trump about the Epstein stuff, right? On over here. Sometimes we question, hey, why are we helping Israel so much? You never seen something like that on the left.
and they wanted to get that report in before the election. And I'll tell you what, I talk about all the time, the fake news, how bad it is. But in this case, they wouldn't do it. They saw it, they read it, and they said, we don't believe it. And it was only after, substantially, like a month and a half after the election, that it got printed, and it was a big wisp. It was just like a bang of nothing, because the election had ended. If that report had gotten published by the New York Times or somebody, and I respect the Times for maybe only this, because they're crooked as you can be. They're a terrible paper, a crooked, corrupt paper. But for this one moment, they said, this is bullshit, we can't put this in.
Yo, the media found complicit with the Democratic Party again. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think they're fighting so hard against this kind of framing from Donald Trump of accusing Obama of treason, because it'll make them complicit in it. We already know corporate media is complicit with the Democratic Party, and anything that the Democratic Party does, the corporate media seems to go along with it in a favorable light until evidence becomes so huge that it can no longer deny it. Like with Joe Biden's health, you keep seeing a pattern, people. One of the things is I don't claim to be the smartest guy, but one thing I always know that's like a gift of mine is I notice patterns, and I think that's human nature. Just because I notice patterns doesn't make me biased, doesn't make me a racist, doesn't make me a sexist, doesn't make me hate anyone. It's just I notice patterns. And you're noticing a pattern here. Democrats spew something, corporate media give it the benefit of the doubt and go along with it and state it as if it was a fact. When Republicans say something, they talk about, they walk in a position of disapproval and call for more evidence, like with the accusation that CNN just did, baseless claims from Donald Trump about Obama's treason, but you didn't call something that was actually baseless, like the Russian collusion hoax. You didn't call that baseless, but you went along with it because 17 intelligence agents said that. Okay, the director of national intelligence just said that Obama was complicit in that. Why you ain't referring to her and using her as a source of reference to say that fact? Obama orchestrated a hoax against Donald Trump to stop a political rival. Why you don't write headlines like that? Because it goes against your preferred candidate. And that's it. That's bias. That's bias. And we all know it. And this is why trust in the media is an all-time low, because your habits, your actions prove that to us. Your results prove that to us. Time and time again, we keep finding the same pattern of biased coverage, biased framing, biased news. And instead of finding ways to balance your own bias out, instead of creating systems to correct that kind of bad habit of the corporate media, they keep going. They double down, triple down. They see nothing wrong with what they're doing. And I think this is what frustrates many Americans who just want information as objectively as they can get it. And this is why people online, this is why people rather, I'm gonna watch like 3 YouTubers, 1 libertarian, 1 progressive, 1 conservative, and I'm done. I don't need to watch the mainstream media. And that's what a lot of people are doing on social media. That's what I do, at least. But, I digress. I'd like to hear thoughts and perspectives in the comment section below. Do you think that Donald Trump will actually fall through with this accusation, or do you believe that do you notice the patterns are just going to go along with the patterns that the GOP don't do anything? Who knows? I'd like to hear your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if it's on client. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.